tend to like there's a earlier in the discussion today, I talked about frameworks and contextualization. People have from our American culture. Let me try to like really break this down. From the American culture, including the dominant themes in American media, mental health is presented as though it's this giant mystery. Like, oh no, where is this coming from? We have a mental health crisis. This came out of nowhere. This is so opaque. What led how did we get to this point? There's nothing we can do. So people tend to come into mental health discussions with that framework, with that kind of contextualization. And again, that's where I take on the more activist role, where I'm like, we need to destroy that. That's not okay, because mental health is not a mystery. There's nothing mysterious about it. There's no part of it that's difficult. And yet people treat it like it is. And so there's this, I don't know how to, not like limping into the conversation, but they get off on the wrong foot is part of what I'm trying to say here. They get off on the wrong foot. They don't know what it is. Whereas what they should be doing is relating with it. Whether that's because they personally have some kind of issue, which PS, virtually everybody has some kind of anxiety or insecurity or a complex of some sort. So they should be relating with it, but they tend not to. They tend to just like treat it as this distant topic way over there that has nothing to do with me. And then I'm confused why I'm frustrated with my life. If only I could connect those two. It's like, yes, you should be connecting those two. Those are the two dots to connect. But they don't. So that's usually where my discussions go. It's mostly like, hey, it's not a big deal. Understand that this is pretty normal. You should be looking for I'll give you the short version of the training I give. It's essentially like, first, understand that mental health is not a mystery that comes out of nowhere. We already covered that.
Yep.
But then after that, the things you look for are these like two phases of recognizable things, behavioral things, which are having a lot of external stressing factors. So things like, I don't have time in my day. I lost my job. Budget's really tight. I was sick, last week. Things that are happening outside of you. I have too many projects at work. I can't keep up with it. Things that are happening outside of you starting to overwhelm you to the point that it's overwhelming. It's disarming. Like you can't, you don't really recover as quickly. So that's the first thing to notice, whether in yourself or in other people. Someone else, you're talking to someone and the content of their conversation is this long chain of things that are overwhelming them, resulting in the conclusion of, I don't know that I can handle this. That's the first thing to look for, which is so easy as long as you're looking for it.
Yeah.
Then the second thing, after the idea of external stress factors beginning to overwhelm you, the next stage is behavioral changes. Some kind of recognizable change in behavior. Now, that could be something extremely extreme, like violently acting out toward others. Like that's highly recognizable.
Yeah.
But on the other end of the spectrum, there's also just like subtle changes. Somebody is usually pretty talkative, but for the past couple of months, she's been isolating herself and not talking to anyone. It doesn't really seem, she's not causing a problem, but that's a change. That's a change to her baseline behavior. So the two things that I train people on is how to recognize external stressors that are piling up to the point that they overwhelm you, coupled with watch for when it spills over into behavioral changes, because that's when you know you're heading toward an issue or even a crisis.
Yeah, like and not just with others, but with yourself too. Like if you notice that you're normally coming to a meeting or you're normally you're interacting with people a certain way, and then like I've had moments where I'd snap at somebody and I'd go off, and then I realize, why did I do that's not me? Like, why did I that's so out of character for me, and I'd feel terrible. And then when I'd go and apologize, I'd realize that it was like you said, it was one of those, it was the external factors just completely over time whittled away, and I got to a breaking point where I just was like, sometimes what a lot of teachers try to do, we try to be the superheroes. We try to do it all. It's almost like we got it. There's the joke that, even if you're dead, you're still in the coffin doing your lesson plan, or you still got to send, like you're in the coffin, but your hand has that Post-it note to hand to the sub. Yeah, it's that kind of thing. And it's work-life balance is so, it's like you said, it's almost a duh moment, but it's so hard, I think, for a lot of us to really understand the importance of, I don't want to say self-actualization, but to understand what you're saying, to look at, to reflect on your external factors and your internal. Going on the work-life balance, I mean, is that something you see we desperately need with ourselves in society?
It certainly depends on your profession, but I would
Yeah.
say in general,
Yeah.
yes, there does seem to be a pattern of, um, let's say, like needing to put healthy boundaries
Mhm.
around, not bringing work home. I know teachers in particular like get hit really hard with that more than many other professions. But on the other end, there's also, I've found in my conversations, because I deal with people who are, let's say, roughly around age 25-ish up through 60s or however old.
Mhm.
So I deal with a wide range of adults. And I've found, especially recently in the past couple of years, that the younger generation tends to have an attitude that they don't want to, for example, slave away for a company who will throw them out next week for not curtsying properly before the queen.
Yeah.
And they as a result of not wanting to waste their life slaving away, they tend to swing the opposite direction, and they'll like full on just not do their work. And they'll say things like, no, I'm setting personal boundaries. That's my right. I have the right to set personal
Yeah.
boundaries. So I'm going to make sure I have good mental health by just not coming into work. And it's like, whoa, hold on. You can put on personal boundaries, but you can't just abandon post.
Yeah, it's like I'm gonna work from home today, and they're like, Bob, you're a firefighter. You can't work from you can't work from home today, or something along those
Let's
lines.
hope he doesn't
What's
have to
that?
work from home. Yeah.
Yeah, well, yeah, if he has to work from
If he's a
home,
firefighter, let's hope he doesn't have to.
he's got bigger problems to worry about. Exactly. Catch new episodes of Mental Health Mondays every Monday morning at 7 a.m. Start your week off with a smile and some inspiration.